to transform lives and to minister to people. We are here to testify and give testimony of the truth. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, one person who can surely say that this week has been one very long week is the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, who now claims that Judge Anthony Mrima, who is one of the judges handling his impeachment case, is a close friend to the Senate Speaker Amason Kingi. Gachagua and petitioner David Mathenge laid it out as basis for why the judge should disqualify himself from the case. The three-judge bench was hearing yet another application seeking their recusal from the case, touching on the impeachment process of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
In light of the disclosure about the relationship between Justice Mrima and the Speaker of the Senate, we find ourselves in a very unfortunate situation where the bench looks like it's on trial. Motions of recusal are normally very difficult to prosecute because the question is, and this is a question that respectfully I want to pose to the bench, will you feel comfortable? Do you appreciate the fact that so far the events that have taken place, whatever determinations that you will arrive in these particular matters, and they are weighty constitutional national matters that affect the entire country, are you satisfied that they will be received well by the public?
The usual case law relating to recusal is inapplicable in the instant case. As a matter of fact, if I say to you very, very respectfully, if there are parties, and indeed there are, who do not want or who do not wish to see you hear this matter, please walk out. You are not the only judges in the country at all.
His lawyers, all of them, never addressed the court. The lawyers were not addressing you. It is the petitioner who was addressing you. You have already made a decision that the petitioner was addressing the gallery. Will he have confidence to appear before him? Ahmed Nasir Sr., when he was constantly spotted by the Supreme Court that he was attacking the courts, the court decided to punish. When he appeared, all the members of the Supreme Court recused themselves. They never gave him audience. Will the Deputy President have audience before you when the main substantive motion comes before you?
You know, the discussions and the arguments that were given were pretty interesting, touching on the characters and the relationships of the judges with individuals who are said to be persons who may become persons of interest or closely connected to individuals who have an interest in this particular case. Well, elsewhere, President William Ruto's lawyer Kamotho Njenga withdrew from the impeachment petition following Supreme Court's decisions that determine that the head of state cannot be subject to civil proceedings. Article 143(2) of the Constitution states that civil proceedings shall not be instituted in any court against the president or a person performing the functions of that office during their tenure in respect to anything done or not done in exercise of their powers under the Constitution.
Bring to the attention of the court that we shall no longer be acting for the sixth respondent in this matter, and to that effect we have filed a notice to cease acting on account of the Supreme Court decision that determined that the president cannot be subject to civil proceedings So in that regard, we will not be able to act contrary to an express court order, and we have therefore filed a notice to cease acting, and we ask the court to deem that to be a sufficient notice that the person named as the sixth respondent is now unrepresented in these proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Kamotho. However, we are not inclined to do anything this afternoon except the business of the two files before the court. After that, we can take directions as may be necessary. Most obliged.
You know, Justice, very interesting. You know, this particular case had to be ruled upon, but yet the Constitution is very clear on civil cases against the president when he's still in office. So it's the right of every person to take somebody to court, but this is pretty clear in the Constitution as to how it should have gone. Elsewhere, the Universal Health Coverage Program Social Health Insurance Fund has received a major boost after the Council of Governors encouraged Kenyans to register to the new health scheme. According to the Social Health Authority, over 12 million Kenyans have been moved to the new scheme, even as the rollout continues to face challenges. Our girl Modhoni Caroline reports on that development.
The Council of Governors has called on Kenyans to register for the new social health care insurance, saying the benefits outweigh the challenges witnessed as it picks up. Speaking in Turkana, accompanied by 7 governors for the Tobonglore Cultural Festival, Council of Governors Chair and Wajir Governor Ahmed Abdullahi said the entry of SHA signaled the end of NHIF, and thus there must be a multi-sectoral approach not just for the government to adopt SHA. He added that there was need for the expedition of fixing any challenges being witnessed, noting they were consistent with the beginning of any system.
Saizi kuna kuandikisha Wakenya katika insurance mpya ya SHA, Social Health Insurance. Mnavyojua sasa hakuna NHIF. Na tunahitaji Wakenya wote wajiandikishe, wajisajili katika hii insurance mpya, kwa sababu hii ndio italeta usawa katika sekta ya afya.
The newly introduced Social Health Authority Health Insurance Scheme, which replaced National Hospital Insurance Fund on October 1st, has swiftly passed 12.5 million registrations, just 2 million short of the now defunct National Healthcare Insurance Fund (NHIF). This milestone comes despite of initial skepticism and confusion among Kenyans when the scheme was launched. Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Barasa, while speaking in Nairobi as she met civil servants, reassured the public that health services are now available through SHA, replacing the National Health Insurance Fund (NHIF). Barasa highlighted the successful transition of services, especially in critical care areas like dialysis and cancer treatment, noting that all patients receiving dialysis have been registered and are receiving uninterrupted care. She also encouraged further registrations under SHA to ensure no patient is left without treatment.
We will work together to ensure that Kenyans have accessible, affordable, quality care from the poor, the vulnerable, the orphans, those who are employed, and those who are in informal settings. So again, as you have read through, the primary health care will be having the free primary health care, and other the social health insurance will have health insurance for other levels of care, as well as emergency, chronic and critical illness, which again will be free. So we want to assure you that the transition will continue and it will be seamless. We will have everyone accessing service. There will be accessible health service delivery at all levels of care. And equally for the NHIF staff, what we can assure is that they will be transitioned. No one will lose their job at the process, and the contributions, as we had said, will be as stipulated.
Not long ago, Kenyans from all over the country raised their concerns about their confusion and their disappointment after being turned down for treatment by healthcare officials, claiming that NHIF is no longer in use, and if treatment is to be administered, they either pay cash or register for SHAF.
Sasa hiyo message ya SHA sijapata na nimeapply hiyo ya SHA. Sijarudishiwa nini message yote ijarudi. Juu ile ya kwanza ililipwa almost 100 na hiyo card nililipia. Ilikuwa almost 1 year ago. Ililipwa na hiyo card. Sasa mimi pia nilikuwa nategemea hii card italipa. Hii surgery ya hii ya pili. Juu alifanywa surgery.
Muthoni Caroline reporting for EBN News.
All right, make sure that you register yourself for this new social health system so that you can be able to access medical health care. At least I have, a relative who's undergoing dialysis, and I can assure you that they are currently accessing that service. Now, State Department for Diaspora Affairs has released a status report on the evacuation of Kenyans from Lebanon. The report was released on yesterday, actually. Now, total evacuation done so far stands at 133, with 62 Kenyans landing in the country on Wednesday. The government partners and stakeholders bore the cost of the evacuation, and the evacuation process is still slow due to the ongoing conflict. Government is appealing to Kenyans to stop traveling to Lebanon. So if you are in the process of going to Lebanon, leo ndio unafaa kupanda ndege, just know it will be difficult to bring you back, because the fight that is currently going on between the Hezbollah and Israel has brought a lot of situations, bad situations there. Bombs are dropping there daily, and so if you can be able to avoid to go there, please do. Si lazima ukufe kisabuni. All right, so that's the process, and that's how it's going. And back to the president. The president yesterday commissioned a state-of-the-art cardiothoracic center at Tenwek Mission Hospital in Bomet County. Now, the facility, one of its kind in East Africa, was put up with funding from the African Gospel Church, then World Gospel Mission, and the Samaritan Purse. The president lauded faith-based organization for partnering with the national government to provide affordable, accessible healthcare to Kenyans. Now, the head of state at the same time said that the national government will review the scaled-down visa and work permit requirements to missionaries to ease their operations.
Let me give assurance to the missionary community who have requested us to review their work permits and the visa requirements for them and scale them down. I want to agree with you that that is an area that is of concern to missionaries, and therefore we will reconsider our position and bring missionary class of visas to the level that you have requested, so that we can be able to continue to work with you as you provide service to our nation. The win-win outcome that comes when the state and the church work together, when the private sector and public sector work together in a collaborative manner, we get results that make everybody a winner. And therefore, I want to commend our mission hospitals across Kenya. They have come through, they have become reliable, trusted partners of the government of Kenya in the delivery of health.
Now, the Principal Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Korir Sing'oei, has confirmed that Kenya had, on the 18th of October 2024, repatriated 4 nationals of the Republic of Turkey to their home country at the request of their government. Dr. Singoe responded to the issue during a roundtable discussion with the civil society on the review of foreign policy. The PS noted that Kenya was right to heed to the request by the government of Turkey as guided by the founding principles of the non-interference with the internal affairs of other states. Now, Singoe highlighted that Turkey remains a friendly nation to Kenya, with the two countries having historical, strategic diplomatic ties. Turkey has been a vital player in the East African region, particularly on matters peace and security.
The issue of being accused of harboring subversive elements within your country who are undertaking activities detrimental to another country is a very serious thing, and you cannot ignore it. Now, this is a very difficult dilemma for Kenya, and people who think it's easy have to know that it's a very difficult dilemma, because there are two principles that we hold here. But one principle, the principle of non-interference on the internal affairs of another country, is a rock-solid principle that goes to the very founding of states. Okay? And the state in question, namely Turkey, is a big player now in the region, as you know. It is involved in Somalia, it's involved in Ethiopia, it's involved around our neighborhood. And so when you view a matter of this nature from a peace and security lens, you can see the dilemma that sometimes we're confronted with. And so it's not a dilution or a departure from our cardinal principles necessarily. But, and this is where diplomacy, operates within. Diplomacy operates within the range of balancing interests.
At times it's hard to understand, but maybe as Singoe was saying, the doctrine of not interfering with the internal affairs of other countries. But when these individuals are provided for refuge in Kenya, I guess I still hold that principle where in the Bible there were cities of refuge where people would go in, and even if you've killed somebody, as long as you go into that city of refuge, nothing will be done to you. But siku ile utatoka kinahioha. So I believe that's what Kenya has become within, within the region, basically, because guys who probably messed up in Rwanda are in Kenya, guys who are probably messing up in South Sudan are in Kenya, probably even Sudan are in Kenya, guys who are persons of interest in Burundi are in Kenya, Somali are in Kenya. So it becomes a very interesting scenario, because all these people probably are causing issues in their country's internal affairs, but they're still in Kenya. Take, for instance, South Sudan. I mean, there was a time Riek Machar and Salva Kiir were fighting one another on the floor in South Sudan. But their families and the individuals were spending most of their time in Kenya. Lavington, Kileleshwa, that's where they were living. But in South Sudan, ni moto inawaka. And their families, were living here. So I don't know why Turkey is different now. Anyway, Baraktar, you remember that drone that caused a lot of issues in Russia? Maybe. Said they are a major player when it comes to peace in East Africa. It's good to know most of these things. Now, residents of a place called Gekegere village in Manyata constituency, Embu County, have a reason to smile following the launch of the last mile power connectivity in the area. Now, speaking at a public participation at Gekegere Shopping Center, residents exuded confidence that the area that has lagged behind despite economic potential will now rise to their benefit. And as Martin Mashari now reports, community members have expressed optimism about the positive impact of electricity in the area.
Residents of Kingiri village are celebrating the launch of last mile power connectivity, a move expected to transform their daily lives and enhance educational opportunities for local students. Speaking during a public participation event at Kingiri Shopping Center, community members expressed optimism about the positive impact of electricity in an area that has historically lagged in development despite its economic potential.
Itasaidia watoto na wazazi wao, manake sasa masomo itakuwa rahisi, hata kama ni kompyuta itakuwa ni rahisi kuoperate. Kuna wale wadogo ambao wanasoma na wakifanya stand wanafanya na ile kata mbaya ndogo inaitwa tandika. Hiyo inawasumbua, inaharibu macho, inaambukiza breathing system, na tunaona sasa watoto wetu watasoma kwa njia nzuri, na sisi pia bado tutajitahidi tupate nini ili hatcheries, tufanye hatcheries, tupate kuku, vifaranga, na tutajiendelesha kwa kilimo na mambo ya ufugaji.
Tumekuwa na shida ya stima kutoka kitambo. Sasa tunatarajia stima ikuje, at least tuizi upunguze huku, maduka tujenge, manyumba tujenge, sababu stima unajua inaleta maendeleo mengi sana.
Tunafurahi sana siku ya leo kwa vile mheshimiwa Mkonji amekunja hapa na akatuahidi tutawekewa stima, na stima itakuwa ikitusaidia sana kama sisi wakina mama tulikuwa tunaenda kusaga mahindi mbali sana. Ndia sana kwa sababu watoto wetu wale wamemalisha shule wataweka kazi hapa kama ya wedding, wasichana wataweka kazi ya saloon, hata ya kinyozi.
Manyata, Member of Parliament Gitunga Mukunji, attended the event and acknowledged the ongoing challenges in power connectivity across Manyata. He assured residents that the government is committed to expanding electricity access in the region.
Nataka kushukuru serikali ikiongozwa na rais kwa sababu ya hii mradi ya last mile project. Hii mradi ni ya national government, si ya county government. Nataka kushukuru rais, nataka kushukuru deputy president kwa sababu kama hayuko hapo the dice is incomplete.
The contractor, however, warned residents to be careful of conmen who ask for money, noting that the exercise is free and provided by the national government through Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation.
Be aware of conmen when watakuja kuitisha pesa ndio mfanye nini? Mwekwe stima. Sawa. So you should be mkuwe patient.
Martin Masharia, EBN TV.
Now, our director Alice Mwangi comes from that village, and they've not had electricity for the last 60 years. And it's Embu, you know, it's not far from Nairobi. You can even sambaza stima there. So you imagine if there's no electricity in the place, and you can see there are ladies, there are young girls there. So what do they do with their hair? Amona tumile kikombe ile kichana ya kuweka kwa unaweka kwa stove na kwa moto, then inapita kwa nywele ina shine, you know. And then you know, if you want to shave, there was a shaver when we were growing up, it's manual. There are things that when you talk about electricity, I mean the electricity changes a place completely. And we are glad that the Ngiri has finally gotten electricity 60 years after independence. Anyway, Education CS Julius Ogamba has highlighted the importance of integrating ICT into classroom learning. A move, he says, will go a long way in enhancing the quality of education in Kenya. He was speaking in Machakos Teachers Training College during the launch of the Digital Skills Training Program, and he emphasized that incorporating ICT in education has significantly improved the quality of teacher training. The CS stated that the integration of technology into classrooms is essential for teachers to meet the demands of the 21st century.
Invested in the requisite ICT infrastructure, capacity building of teachers and development of digital content. The program we are launching here today, therefore, is timely and being implemented at an opportune time when competency-based teacher education targets to equip the teacher educators and the teacher trainees with the relevant knowledge and skills necessary for development of digital literacy among our learners. I'm therefore immensely grateful for the readiness to support the ministry in implementing its mandate. This great collaboration, in addition to other ICT initiatives in the teacher training colleges, will ensure our teacher trainees acquire the necessary hands-on skills required to completely deliver ICT lessons, thus improving learning outcomes in our classrooms. The chairman has clearly indicated here that we might have the gadgets, but if we do not have the teachers who are properly skilled, then those gadgets will not be utilized for the purpose for which they were meant.
All right, then, in a couple of minutes, we take a look at the newspapers. Now, our director, Alice Mwangi, has categorically denied, reports coming from this desk that she comes from Gedengete in Embu County. She says where she comes from, there's electricity. And Gedengete, there is no electricity. She says not even her ancestors, none of them, visited Gedengete. And not that she doesn't like people from Gedengete, as we are going to soon discover when she tours Gedengete to open some projects. Ni kusema na kutenda kama MCA wa area of that place. Sama, amna gani Alice? Good. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we look at the newspapers.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
All right, welcome back. Now, let's take a look at the dailies. This is how the Standard looks like. It's a race against time as DP goes for judges. He has decided he's going to go after them and showing conflict of interest and asking them to recuse themselves, because when he was connecting the relationship of some of the judges, the friendships they have with individuals who are connected in this case, like showing one of the judges had a very strong personal relationship with the Speaker of the Senate, and so alleging that, this relationship opens the door for, maybe because of their relationship, because the Senate has already expressed itself on this matter, that they can influence the judge. It was a pretty interesting conversation and argument between the two parties. And Kenya munapenda uhahi. Now, one of the pictures here, this is President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is in Abidjan for Africa Peace Meeting. I have sat with individuals who can literally swear by the life of their mothers that there was something wrong with the former president. And they told me stories, this. It's good, I listen to stories, but there are some stories that I'll listen and I tell you, ay, apo, iko sharage. So they had indicated, you know, he was not enjoying a very good health. But you look at him, you see the picture. Actually, it was so good to see, so refreshing to see him. And at times when you look back, you know, you start saying, maybe, just maybe, we should have listened to him. There he is, looking healthy. It's really refreshing. It's really refreshing to see the former president in good condition. Then President William Ruto, there's a snippet of a story there that Ruto has defended the Adani 95 billion power deal. The second page has grade 6 assessment tests begin as high-stakes KCPE phased out. Then MCS impeach speaker, accuse him of violating constitution. This is Nyamira. Looks like this is a season of impeaching. Then the third page, we got fear and unrest grip Isli as killing over killing of 3 family members. The residents were demonstrating following the brutal murder of 3 women from the area. Area MP Hassan Yusuf joined the residents. Then rights activists want the United Nations to probe recent abductions in the country. Then hot haggle over orders expiry as DP continues his fight for survival. Gachagua in fresh push to keep judges out of impeachment case. Then the back page is football. Barcelona thrash Bayern as Liverpool stay perfect. Hey, Barcelona hit Bayern 4-1. Eish. Atacama. Eish. And they all had the same team numbers on the field. We have the Star newspaper, thousands say no to 7-year term limit bill. This was ridiculous. As in, but read it like this. Look at the person who was proposing this bill for the extension of the extension of the presidential year from 5 to 7. It's a gentleman called Cherargei. Now, Cherargei is a senator of Nandi. Does he see eye to eye with the president? No. He's actually in Gachagua's camp. So why was he proposing the 7-year, the extension of the presidential term? Read between the lines. Proposed law increases terms of service for presidents, senators, MPs, MCAs, governors. I remember yesterday, even as this was playing, the senator of Kiambu, Karongo Adhangwa, had also presented one proposing the reduction of the period from 5 to 4 years. Then the legacy of CDF, reflection of former Vice President Moody Awori. Eish, a guy, I'm telling you, the former president this guy, he should be in his 90s. But he looks very different. He looks fit. He doesn't look 90 at all. He's old, okay, but he's aged, but he doesn't look 90. You know, there are people who look 90. When they get to 90, they look like they're in 150. This guy looks like he's in his 70, 65. I think shilingi simbaya. Then human rights cases in Kenya worsening. That's according to the civil society. Thousands of Kenyans submit petitions against extending term limit. That's the story of Cherargei. Then we got the back page of the Star Sports, a dark lifeline. The International Olympic Committee, IOC President Thomas Bach has said that he will hold talks with President Ruto today to discuss how the government can increase the anti-doping agency of Kenya, ADAK's funding. Good luck, IOC Chair. Good luck on that. Then, the Daily Nation. Hey. Anyway, the front page says, Ruto, Adani deal is good for you. So the president is saying the Adani deal is good for us. How this Adani deal moved from one of the stinkiest potato in the National Assembly, actually in the Senate, when the government officials were being grilled about how this thing came into being, to now being a very good thing for this country, just amazes me. Because what happened to that committee that was supposed to follow up on this and ensure that all the details about the Adani deal are spilled? I don't know what happened. It had Senator Onyonka, it had even Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, and quite a number of good brains who were questioning this. And you could smell there was something that was not smelling right in the thing. But now, all of a sudden, all the guns have gone silent on the Adani deal. And a number of them, all the deals have basically passed. So he is the president. Maybe he knows what we don't know. Yeah, maybe. He is the president saying that the Adani deal is good for you. And so we are supposed to believe him that it is good for us. There is another one just on the same page. Why Gachagua wants judges to quit case. Interesting read. Last moments before killing of woman, daughter and niece. This was really bad. This was really, really bad. And then interesting facts. DNA fails to link body to missing wardrobe. You remember there were Jew wardrobe who went missing, I think, for a couple of months now, and then there was a body that was discovered the other day, and basically the government said they believed that that was the body of the missing MCA. Well, now DNA is proving us wrong. It's saying that it's not connected. It's not his body. Then you have the family of murdered Wells Fargo HR boss calls for speedy justice. The two individuals who are captured by CCTV basically leaving, dumping the car and then leaving that place. I pray that you're arrested and you should know you should come to justice. Presidential term extension backlash. UDA members of parliament clashed during the presentations, as some of them were objecting to the proposal and some of them going for it. And then fit as a fiddle. Uhuru makes public comeback. It's an interesting story. Get your newspaper, read about it, and then you can know you shouldn't believe everything you hear about people, and mostly so in Kenya. Ruto says Adani, like deals will ease taxpayer burden. Mr. President, if details of these deals can be made public, because there's been a lot of talks about the Adani deals, maybe it can clear the bad odor that is coming from those deals. And the name, every time you hear Adani, there's a stink that comes out of that name because of what was said at the Senate. So I think the most prudent thing will be, let it be made public. If Adani has to use the title deed of JKIA to access money to come and repair and upgrade JKIA, then that's immoral, because the Kenyan government can also use the same title deed to access funds to come and, and repair. And it is better the government does it because it has a stake at JKIA. This guy is a foreigner. I mean, he has no stake there. If he defaults on that loan, then the people who gave him the loan will come collect. And that's the unfortunate situation. So if what has been claimed in the Senate is true or not true, maybe the only way to clear the name of Adani in Kenya would be to make public those documents so that people can see and they can understand what is at stake. Right now, Kenyans, every time they're told, believe me, this is clean, it even makes them doubt the entire thing. I remember during the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, he had said he will make the SGR deal public. Well, we are still waiting. Maybe it will be made public years after we are no longer on this side of earth. But whatever it is, make it public, make it clean, and then people can be able to trust your word. Okay, with that, got to bring down the curtains on the show. Don't forget, around now we'll have some interesting conversation on what's happening in this country on the Leadership Show. Good morning. Let me take some tea.